welcome everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the 5th edition of UpStart in Delhi. So as she said, we have come back to innovate yet again for another session. We do really like the kind of place that we are located at, and that is why we keep coming back to the place. So the topic for today is, so as you all know, PayU is one of the leading payment service providers. We are across sectors like telecom, airlines, SMB, and even the startup community. And this one such program is an outreach for startups. We try to do as many sessions as possible. We are at, I think, 53 sessions at the moment. So today's would be the 54th session. So we do it every weekend in the series like UpStart and CodeUp. So UpStart is for startups and CodeUp is for the developers. So today's session is on growth hacking. We have 3 stellar speakers lined up for you. So our first speaker for the evening is Saurabh. So he's the founder of Le'Capri Consulting. So he's so all of them would talk either from their experience or from maybe and are open to taking questions from you. So our second speaker for the day is Abhishek Sharma. He's the CEO of Dineout, and our third speaker for the day is Ayush. So he's the founder at DforDelhi. So over to you, Saurabh, for the session.
Yeah, thanks.
That's it.
Hi everyone. I would rather want to have this session as more often, question and answers and as interactive as we can. Thank you first of all to introduce me and giving me an opportunity to interact with the startups and people who are really interested in knowing what growth hacking is all about. So let me ask you this question. What do you think is growth hacking? Anyone out of you? Of course not the speakers. You'll get your time, right? Yeah.
If I'm going from 0 to 1.
Going from 0 to 1.
Yeah. 0 means pause or stop and 1 is on.
So 0 to 1. So we simply have a switch,
Right.
which we when turn it on,
Right. It's on.
we are grown.
Right. But there is a step between it, but this is the simplest way.
The simplest way.
Yeah.
Okay. Growth. Are there any shortcuts to growth?
There are 2 things. First is 0-1, that is instant mindset change, then modification gradual that you need.
Okay. So my question still remains: are there any shortcuts to growth?
Depends on your domain, probably.
Cite an example, please.
Like really depends. Like if you're in a let's say like a more conventional or a traditional manufacturing kind of a business, then of course you really need to build it up from scratch. But if you're in a more modern online kind of unconventional business, you can leverage again the non-traditional methods, which could be called the growth hacking methods, social media or things of that nature.
Are we left with any traditional setups anymore? Do we still have some? Do we still have some traditional setups?
Yeah,
Did they hack the growth? I mean, I know I'm going against what I'm supposed to say here, right? The only purpose of asking this is I personally do not feel that growth is hackable. I cannot ask any lady who's going to be a mother. See, we do not have 9 months. Can we cut it short, please? Growth has to happen at a pace. Primarily, the growth hacking is a very recent term which has come up, and it is essentially a single word, one word, so to say, which has channelized, which has put together all the efforts that all the marketers used to do, right? We have to work on the SEOs, the whole idea is driving the customers, not the customers exactly, but your target audience to your platform. Has everyone read about growth hacking, so to say? All of you some of you might have an idea what growth hacking is all about. Anyone who does not have an idea what growth hacking is all about, you don't know what growth hacking is. So essentially, you also do not know. Essentially, हिंदी में बोलते हैं किसी दूसरे के कंधे पे रख के बंदूक चला. So you are basically trying to pull resources. That is what traditionally happened when the term growth hacking was invented. Okay, so we have a classic case of Airbnb. That is when the growth hacking came into existence, and the Dropbox. That is the case where growth hacking came into existence. Now, what Airbnb did, is anyone aware? You're aware. So, would you like to help us understand what happened there?
They did some coding, so they posted on Play the traffic came to their site.
Can you repeat what you said?
So they did some kind of coding. So when people clicked on Craigslist, they came to Airbnb's platform, and Craigslist is one of the largest classified posting site in USA at that time.
Do we have Craigslist in India as well?
OLX and this.
We have Craigslist in India as well. Yes.
Yeah.
So, what happened was, Airbnb, they wanted to expand exponentially. So to say, they wanted to hack their growth. They wanted to be real quick and growing. There was, so to say, a bug in Craigslist, and they thought, the developers there, they thought that they can hack into the system, utilize the existing network, and yes, they did that. They did that. Now, eventually, what happened? Now Craigslist says that we do not allow any growth hacking on our website. So growth hacking primarily started when one company, they tried to hack into someone's account or list of database just to grow exponentially, just to get into their own business, which was not the core of the other business that they had. Having said that, I personally do not consider that growth hacking is is something which we should, so to say, we should be looking at. But yes, the whole idea is to channelize the available resources in a way that we are able to grow with a cutting edge in comparison to our competitors. Please.
So basically coming to the growth hacking part, before that I just would like to understand, so I guess this is the next step. So what is exactly, how would you define growth? What is growth? So growth hacking is the next step. So a growth can be a different perspective. Everybody sitting in this room might take growth. What is growth? They must have their own definition.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So the definition of word growth varies from person to person, business to business. For a company like Facebook, the growth probably means the maximum number of users, number one. Number two, the maximum number of active users. Number three, how their share prices are sold. So it varies from business to business. What is growth? So I leave it up to you to decide. How many of us are how many amongst us are some way or the other related to startups? Wow. Any one of you, can you let me know what in your terminology growth is? Why don't you answer yourself?
See, probably, so
Sorry, I'm interrupting. What exactly are you into?
I'm into a brick and mortar travel startup. So probably we are trying to create, so it is bootstrapped as of now. So we are trying to create a brand out in Himalayas, which is a brick and mortar model, wherein the differentiator, so as to call, is the theme. So as of now, say for example, Shimla, it is an overcrowded marketplace. Right? The people have a lot of money from the orchards and all, so they just pump in the money into the cottages and build the resorts, right? So there is no defined strategy as in how to build a brand out of it. So probably we guys, some schoolmates, so probably took the plant from what is so-called and broke the social fabric and then
Very good.
got it.
What exactly you understand by growth? Dhanda aa jaye, kaam khatam, grow ho gaye, that's it. Right? So the basic thing, bread and butter. Dhanda aa gaya, growth ho gayi hamari bhai, right?
Okay, but see, as of now, so I define growth, if you have asked me, into phases. As of now, for me, the growth would be, the first phase of the growth would be when I would see that entire facility completely establish it and go to market up and running.
Great. Anyone else would like to answer this? Would like to interact on this? Please, pass the mic.
Okay, so for me, the growth is the expansion of my community. How much people know me, what's the, you can say the number of my community who are working in my startup, what they were contributing. As I'm an open source startup, I belong to an open source startup.
What exactly are you?
We are into a home automation product that based upon IoT, but that to total open source, not a closed source program or a hardware design. That's an open source on GitHub and Kaggle.
Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, please.
I am a basically common graduate. So what I know the meaning of growth is when your business is able to run in the autopilot mode. So you count as its growth. In that time, if you are not able to work for a certain time, you are able to earn the money.
This is where we would reach an autopilot mode. Correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen. This is where we would reach an autopilot mode. So do you think we should start growing? We should stop growing here?
No.
And all of this was not growth?
No,
Sorry,
I'm not.
I'm just for the heck of it.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying this is the start of the growth. I'm saying if we sometimes want to take a pause because see, we think if we reach the pinnacle, it's not the pinnacle. It's just the start. We have to change the whole the world if you want to see the growth. If we're talking about the many of unicorn, they just not reach the growth pinnacles, but they are also able to change the world by redefining the growth.
Right, great. So coming back to what we were, he has rightly pointed out that the first thing when we talk about our startups is our target audience. We want as many visitors, we want as many customers we can target. Right? How do we drive the customers to our website? How do we educate our potential customers that alright boss, we are a new kid around the block. How do we give a shout? Because we want to grow. So we want to hack into someone's existing network base and grow ourselves. That is what primarily growth hacking is. Essentially when it was coined. But now the entire gamut of growth hacking is revolving around SEO and the various techniques. SEO would cover almost everything which can be termed as growth hacking. How do you drive customers? Now it again depends what is the kind of customer that you have. If you're selling a service, it might not be, the regular customer who is buying from Amazon or Flipkart might not be your regular customer. So the first thing that I feel if you really want to grow your business is differentiating your visitor from the user. Right? I might visit a website which of some product which I might not require, which I'm doing just out of curiosity. I want to learn or I want to understand more about a product. I might not be using it. So how do you convert a visitor to a user is one thing. How do you differentiate the visitor from a user is another thing. So the first thing is you must know who your users are. Basis that you need to do a lot of analysis. SEO is again lot of analysis, basis which you derive on certain parameters, on certain techniques which you want to use and showcase your business to your potential clients. Now, who's a growth hacker? Any ideas? Who's a growth hacker? We have a typical hierarchy, right? In any organization. The C level. If we talk about the startups, we have pretty straight hierarchy, right? We have C levels. Along with them, there are, so to say, P levels, the programmers or the developers who are building up the entire tech platform, right? And then there are the M levels. In most of the startups, what we have is the C level itself, because we like fancy, names to our designations. So, अभी क्या हुआ मेरे साथ? I've had 15 years of experience. अभी मतलब अभी जनरल मैनेजर का टैग मिल गया. अभी नेक्स्ट क्या? छोड़ना यार. किसी के यहाँ क्या बनना? अपने खुद के CEO बन जाओ. So that is how we tend to grow, right? That is how the most of the startups want to fancy their designations. But the fact of the matter would remain that yes, the P part might then name himself or herself as CTO, right? Because primarily in a startup, he or she is the one who's taking care of the entire technology front. So he becomes the chief technology officer. So my question was, who typically is a growth hacker? Any ideas? Sorry. Who does some value addition to your product or services? Okay.
A person who exploits all the available marketing resources, exhausts them so as to bring in growth to his business.
Anyone else?
If I can convert everybody else's users or visitors into my users, probably that's when the growth hacking thing really works.
Why do most of the startups fail?
There are different factors.
Different factors. When we launch a startup, when we enter into a startup mode, the first thing I think is vision. Any person of whatever domain, be it technology, be it marketing, be it operations, until and unless he is in synchronization with the vision of the person who actually had an idea of setting up the startup, until and unless that is in sync, the growth cannot happen. I'll share one very small example. So there is a vision, right? Now we have tech team. So this person had some vision, wanted to do a startup, and he put together 2-3 friends, or maybe hired someone to take care of this part. So there was a knowledge transfer that happened. Right? That is what happened. There was a product which was developed. The marketing guys, they started marketing it. Now, the gentleman there, he said, a person who's able to bring in a value add to my product becomes a growth hacker. Right? Who here would be able to do in or bring in a value add? Perfect. So that is all about growth hacking. The first principle is that until and unless the entire organization is in sync, we cannot grow. We must understand that the vision of setting up the startup, we must understand that vision. And value addition, definitely it happens at every stage. At every stage. We often ignore this. Customer feedback. When we are developing a product, we often ignore this. We start developing a product or services basis our experience, basis our understanding of a particular ecosystem, and we think we are able to do a value addition, right? And we design or develop a product or a service. How many of you have actually studied before entering into a startup the customer feedback? We have a room full of startups. How many of you have actually studied? Allow me a minute, I'll come back to you. How many of you have studied the customer feedback or the existing market? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, you were saying something.
So best way I am telling about the person which was here earlier, Ankit. The same I do. Ankit is the founder of My Operator. When he developed the product, he just simply go to the customer and just giving a presentation about the products, and this way he is able to get the right customer as well as investor. So the same thing I do. I first connect to the person and talking about them. This will be three things happen. One, we were able to get the right feedback, right connection, as well as if there is some missing in the product, we also able to get the immediately mentorship from the expert also.
Thank you. People who have not studied the existing customer base, any particular reasons of not doing that? Why do we want to ignore the existing facts in the universe, in the population, which we are targeting? As only 7 people, that's roughly around 10% of the startups. If I was to derive at a conclusion, 10% of the startups actually value the existing customer feedback before they actually venture into a startup. And we are targeting those customers who are existing. We are not going to create a new market. That is where one of the potential problem lies. We think our idea is very good. Yes, our idea might be the best in the world. But have we actually studied our target client? Analyze. we must analyze what we are looking at. What our target customer is, who our target customers are. Basis that we must design, develop our product or services. We will never go wrong. We will never ever go wrong. And then implement it. And never ever think that once a customer feedback is taken, we are good. The market space is changing, is growing day-to-day basis. Daily we have some new innovation, some innovation which is coming. Today what holds good, tomorrow it might be a complete zero. So the whole idea is to understand your customer. What are the techniques of growth hacking? Primarily, how you attract your customer. That's the first thing. You make use of various SEO techniques. Now, there is no hard and false rule that, okay, targeting only the Facebook or only the Twitter is going to give you an exponential growth overnight. Right? Now the gentleman over there who has recently entered into the Shimla market, which is overcrowded. Shimla, you said, right? Which is overcrowded. He would have a different marketing technique, a different growth hacking technique in comparison to any other startup which is there. It is not necessary that you would have to follow the same growth hacking technique to arrive at a, safe stage. So you need to experiment. You definitely need to jot down the list of experiments, the list of ideas you think might work right for your customers or for your potential visitors which you eventually want to target. Until unless you have noted down the stupidest of the idea and knocked it off, that okay boss, this is not going to work. And if you think it is not going to work, what are the reasons behind that? Did you do any experimenting? So on those bases, on those grounds, you have to devise your own growth technique, your own strategy. You might use a push technique to bring in your customers. You may use a pull technique to bring in new visitors, or your product in itself should be able to market for, you should be able to self-market a marketable product. So the idea is to channelize your existing resources in a way that it synchronizes with the needs or the requirement of your customers. Any questions here? Please.
What is the best way to analyze your target audience? I asked you, what is the best way to analyze your target audience? Right. Suppose I'm into health sector, right? And there is a lot of scope, but I don't know to whom I should target.
So exactly in health sector are you doing?
We are into diet planning and health consulting, right? The potential is huge.
It is huge.
Yeah.
Almost every single person in India is diet conscious now.
Right.
So the potential is huge.
Absolutely.
Now, for you,
Yeah.
what are the techniques that you're using currently?
See, we have devised a list of services, but we are still confused that what should be the cost of the service we are providing. The market is very much fragmented, right? There are several local players, right?
Go ahead.
And we are still figuring out what service we should offer that becomes a a reasonable proposition from our side for our customers.
Is there any data available for your analysis?
No,
For you
right
to
now-
reach?
Right now, we don't have any kind of data.
Not with you.
Mhm.
Do you think there are certain data points of a previous research or a previous, any document, any report, or any market report, any survey which says that, all right, these are the kind of
See, there could be,
services.
there could be, right? But who will share their data with us, or from where we will get the actual?
That's an
data?
assumption. That's an assumption.
We tried. a lot.
We usually sit down thinking, यार कौन बताएगा हम?
Yeah. See, initially we approached to gyms, right? Workout zones, gyms,
Okay.
right? But they are not ready to share the data. And what?
Like borrow steal.
This is the last option, right? But can you suggest?
That's what hacking is all about. Talk to people. He's right. Absolutely right. Talk to people. Jim is not going to, for example, just to answer his question, Jim is not going to share their data, whatever reasons, Privacy Act है भाई हम नहीं share करते. It's possible. Jim goers तो है.
Right.
Have you tried making a survey on the Facebook?
No, not yet.
Did you try to make a page on Facebook targeting, or a survey on Facebook targeting people, users who have in their interests gymming, dieting?
We have prepared a page, but yeah.
Yes, so that but is where the rest of the work has to happen. You need to understand your target audience, right? Absolutely right. You know your target audience pretty well, that you are looking for diet conscious people. Now, what they are already going to a gym, right? They might or might not have a diet plan ready with them. They might have a diet plan which is really not working good for them. They might have a diet plan which they do not want to follow. I am a vegetarian. Someone is giving me a keto diet which is primarily even though it has substitute, but which is primarily a non-vegetarian diet because it is full of, so to say, carbohydrates. I think
Protein and fat.
protein and fat. So I might not be following it. So these data points you need to gather. Number one, you have to find out the alternatives. Gym not sharing their data, a health center not sharing their data, a doctor not sharing their data, a dietitian not sharing their data is one thing. Now here, do you have any dietitian on panel?
We have.
You have.
Yeah.
Do they have some existing data points with them?
They had prior work experience in a hospital.
Not the work experience,
Mhm.
the data points.
No. Some of them are freshers, so they are not having any experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can probably tie up with certain dietitians. You have to devise a, way to approach these dietitians, get the data points, analyze them, find out or create a product, generate a product, see how it is, if it is again available in the market, see what is the price point that it is available and what is the value add that you can make. So that is your growth hacking technique.
One more problem we are facing, right? In the current market, the margin at which the other competitors are selling is very competitive, right? The margins are very less.
Legitly.
So we are planning or devising a service in such a way so that we can earn some margin. So how to find that? What should be some extra services for which we can charge extra? So what is the best way? So these are the things we are puzzled with.
We have 3 people here. You can hire any one of us on your advisory panel. We will do it.
Sure.
I'm sure. It is doable. You need to understand, one, you need to lower your product cost. Number 2, you need to bring in a value add which is not there. Number 3, you have to confuse the customer. Sorry, that is all That's what hacking is all about. Any other questions?
I have a solution for you.
Please. So, he's another contender. We three are out now. He's the fourth one.
Hire their interns, give them the task to go to the people. उनके लिए case study हो जाएगा, live project हो जाएगा.
Perfect.
उनको वो मिल जाएगा, आपका काम मिल जाएगा.
So the idea is to have data points which you can action upon. Any analysis, that's the first point. Before you enter into any startup or you want to have, you're looking at growth. You need to analyze what is existing. And then, basis that, what is the value add that you can do? That is where you develop. And then you implement. So, we can again connect after the session. I'll hand over the mic to the next speaker. No? You're coming, Bhatia?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh, for that amazing opening. Over to Abhishek. In the meantime, I would like to announce that we'll be collecting the puzzle sheets once Abhishek is done. So if you guys can keep it ready on the side, we'll take it later. Over to you, Abhishek.
Hi guys. Thank you, Saurabh. Fantastic session, I would say. I don't know if I'll be able to do as good a job, honestly. So, one honest confession, I'm not really a growth hacker. I've never been a growth hacker. So what I do in order to compensate is I can share from my own personal experience, right? So I'll divide the talk into three parts largely. First and foremost is I think I'll sort of go back a little bit into history and share a little bit about me. That will set the context. Part two is wherein I'll share some of the so-called quote-unquote growth hacks in some of the startups I've been associated with. And the third part is the interesting part. We'll just open the floor, what I usually call as fireside chat. Right, so throw questions at me and try and answer, some of the questions, right? Okay, so I'll just go in the part one in a very simple reverse chronological order. How many of you have essentially heard of Dineout? Is there anybody who doesn't know Dineout yet? Doesn't? Never heard of Dineout? 1, 2. Okay, so very good because let me just quickly introduce. So Dineout is basically India's largest table reservation app. We currently serve about 500,000 people a month, right? So about 500,000 people a month, right? We're part of Times Internet. Dineout was essentially acquired by Times Internet some 4 years back. Okay, and as you know, Times Internet essentially runs about 37 businesses. Times of India, Economic Times, Magic Breaks, Ghana, and so on and so forth. Right? So Dineout is essentially one of the businesses. In Dineout, we're about currently almost 400 people working for Dineout and spread over 8 cities. We are operating in 8 cities, largely all metros. Okay. So I'm the CEO of Dineout. This essentially means I have the privilege of practically entering into any area, whether it's product, technology, strategy, acquisitions, this, that, right? So that's currently what I'm doing. Till a year back, I was the head of HR for Times Internet. What it essentially means is I was running HR for all 37 businesses. But I've never been an HR person. It was some of the people call it risky move. Some of my friends said it's a crazy move, but nevertheless I still did it. Okay, largely responsible to make Times Internet an entrepreneur-friendly organization because we do a lot of acquisitions, work with all the entrepreneurs, hire the right kind of people, build a L team, and all that stuff, right? Most of you essentially would interact with any HR. You will know exactly what HR is all about. Prior to that, I was head of operations and product platform for Ixigo. Is there anybody who's never heard of Ixigo? Oh, interesting. Okay. So I was largely responsible for the operations and I was responsible to build the product platform around all the products we had in the next year. Before that, this is where the real fun begins. I was a co-founder of this company called 10 Marks, which got acquired by Amazon. It was fun, so I have plenty of stories to share. We literally started from a basement in Scenic Farms, and how all the way we essentially reached to California and Boston, and eventually sold the company to Amazon. Before that, I had done my first startup, so I'm going way back, like 2006. Okay, I know I don't look that old. Thank you very much. Yeah, but almost 20 years by the way. So 2006, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was the head of quality for this company called Exchanging, which was essentially a sort of a BPO setup. Some will say KPO setup. Back then, we didn't know these terms. We were essentially just doing the job. Okay, so I was the head of quality for that. And I wanted to start something. I still remember I walked up to my boss. He was the COO of the company, and I was 26 years old or something. And I told him, hey, you know what, I want to quit and I want to start something on my own. And he was like late 40s or something. I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. You and I want to do something. Why don't we do it together? Okay. So that's where I learned sales essentially. So अपनी नौकरी तो छोड़ी उनकी भी छुड़वाई. Okay. So we started the company. We sort of sold it to one more company which was into services. So that's about me. Okay. So this is where the part one essentially ends. Okay. Part two. So I'll share some of the experiences as I honestly confess to all of you that I am not really a growth hacker. So I'm sure you'll be kind enough not to ask me all the tough questions. Okay. But I'll share some experiences from you. And I've literally seen companies from very small, when we were running 10 marks, practically few people out of college we hired, all the way to being part of such a large ecosystem, which is Times Internet, right? Practically 4,500 people and 37 businesses. And even Dineout, which is essentially operating at a fair bit of scale, serving about 500,000 diners a month, right? Okay. So I'll share my first experience from Dineout, very easy to comprehend. 1st of February, right? We're sitting on what, 20th, right? Yeah. So, okay. Another 10 days to go. You will hear about Great Indian Restaurant Festival. Ikku is there. Ikku is smiling, huh? Ikku. Great Indian Restaurant Festival. And I don't know if you guys have heard about Great Indian Restaurant. We did the last version in February of 2017, wherein we offered 50% flat off, across 1,000 restaurants. Do you guys remember? We practically bombarded every single guy. We were on TV, we were on OH, we were in print, we were all over social media. I don't know if you guys remember that. So we're coming up with a second version of that. Okay, and I think it's the biggest growth hack we attempted and we successfully achieved. So I'll speak about that. Plus, you'll be able to, when you actually see all the posts and everything on the TV, this, that, you'll be able to essentially relate with this particular experience. I still remember, I think it was October 2016 or something, we were in the boardroom and we were essentially talking about Big Billion Day sale, okay, which is done by now pretty much a benchmark, right? Flipkart, Amazon, right? Everybody does that, right? So we were talking about that and we were essentially looking at, Alibaba and how Alibaba essentially does, the equivalent in China, right? And what the numbers are essentially looking. So that gave us an idea. What if we do a Big Billion Day sale for restaurants? Interesting, right? So that is how the idea was generated. Just to give you some stats, which will essentially put a lot of things in context. Once again, glass of water. So, I think October we were doing about 80,000 diners a month, maybe 100,000 diners a month. and we planned Great Indian Restaurant Festival. And in February 2017, and we did it for the first time, in a matter of 10 days, practically we served 300,000 diners. Okay? We were always skeptical. We were nervous about the whole thing. We didn't know how it was going to pan out. We didn't know whether actually, and this is pre-Zomato gold days by the way, as you can imagine. We didn't know how restaurants will respond to all of this. Nevertheless, we attempted and we successfully achieved it. Okay? So today, let me give you some stats. We are currently serving 500,000, as I said, diners a month. And we are attempting to achieve 1 million diners effectively, which is 10 lakh diners in 1 month. So I really cannot think of any better growth hack. And there is no formula to it, honestly. Okay, we were serving about 1,000 restaurants then. Today we have 2,000 restaurants and flat 50% off. Okay, so what are the key learnings? I think one of the key learnings is that for any so-called quote-unquote growth hack, you have to think big. If you don't think big, it is not a growth hack. Second thing is, if there's any keyword which you should associate with growth hacking, that is experimentation. Right? All of us have our own fears, right? Anxieties, and so on and so forth. And we wonder, what if we fail? But the question is exactly as what if we fail? How does it really matter? At least you learn something. Why don't we attempt something audacious? Why don't we do something which is worth talking about? Why don't we really work towards something which helps us, all of us, leave some legacy? Right? And the context which you need to have before you attempt any of this, trust me on this when I say this, okay, is to think big and never ever forget to experiment. Saurabh has really talked about some of the stuff, from his own experience, so which you should definitely do, right? And there's a whole bunch of stuff, but purely from a context, why don't we do that? Let's really attempt it, do it. See क्या होगा यार ज़्यादा मतलब fail ही हो जाएगा, big deal. So what, right? So that's one. Second, back in Ixigo days, and obviously travel startup, right? That's my second experience I want to share with them. So, and we were funded by Make My Trip and SAP partners, and we were essentially looking at how can we get the next phase of growth. And I still remember, and we used to do several all-nighters, whether it's content, whether it's technology, and so on, right? So we were essentially talking about Train app. I'm sure you guys must have heard about Ixigo's Train app. Yeah. Okay. So two young developers, actually, I should name them. Credit goes to them entirely. Abhijit and sorry, I can't recollect one more. Sorry, my apologies. But these guys essentially were discussing, and they were very passionate about this entire train prediction thing, the PNR, whether confirm, not confirm. He used to do a lot of back and forth between Delhi and his native place, and that is where the idea essentially germinated, right? And we never thought of it like a or something, right? We never sort of qualified it as such. It's just an experimentation. We launched it. It did fantastically well. Today, you know how it is, right? It's one of the most downloaded app, and Ixigo has been talked about, in all the international forums. In fact, Sundar Pichai mentioned, about Ixigo's train app right, in this conversation. So that is the second, experience which I thought I should share. So the key learning from my personal experience as far as Ixigo's train app is essentially concerned is that, you should never qualify growth hack as growth hack. You know what we do generally when we think of, trying an alternate route. We just qualify. We qualify it as something. We qualify it either growth hack or we qualify it as something, right? Which essentially boils down to the same point I just made. Really experimentation, right? There's no other alternate really. I really cannot think of anything else but experimentation. You should just continue to play with it. Just do as much experimentation as possible. And who knows? Maybe you're sitting on $1 billion idea. But until unless we give it a shot and we really come up with something and throw it out in the market, we'll never know. Right? And that's the other part, right? I mean, just throw it out in the market. Let people say what it is. Why are we qualifying it? Right? We are nobody to qualify anything. We essentially are, just a bunch of enthusiast startup guys, and we keep experimenting with different set of things, right? Who knows how it's going to really turn out? Why not do it? Right? Okay. The third experience which I want to share is from 10 mark days, and I'm not kidding when I say this. It literally, very small office. We used to take interviews in the drawing room of my co-founder. When we used to hire people, so-called quote unquote senior developers and so on, we used to meet them in Sheraton Circuit. Because we never wanted to call them because हमने बुलाया तो सकता join ही नहीं करे, right? So just to maybe sort of give them a nice experience and all of that and have a nice cup of coffee and all of that, right? So we used to call them सर एक काम करते हैं जो Sheraton में मिलते हैं, right? So I'm talking about literally those days, right? The model really was that we wanted to do something in K-12 and EdTech essentially what today we call it. That time I had no idea what's called, honestly. We were just doing some interesting stuff, honestly. So what we did, we thought we'll cater to the parents. So the product was essentially we built entire content. There was an album, there was a playlist. So let's say, just to give an example, if the grade 4 kid doesn't know, let's say, fraction, then algorithmically will figure out that the division concepts are weak and pick up album from grade 2 and give questions, right? Very simply, I'm just trying to explain what the core concept was, right? And we were hoping to charge some $500 a month from the parents, right? Guess what? Nobody paid. Okay. We talked to multiple set of investors. We were trying to raise some money. We obviously raised money from friend families and fools, as they say, right? Some of the friend families and fools, they did give us money, but beyond that, when we tried so-called angel round, so-called, Series A, all those fancy words today as we know them, nobody gave us any money. Zero money. Okay, we just couldn't raise. We had a guy called Ayush Choudhary. His father was in Calcutta. We actually borrowed money from his dad. Literally, I'm not exaggerating at all. Right? And we were sitting Sunday afternoon, we were wondering what to do because India, we talked to a lot of schools, we reached out to a lot of, so-called board members of the school, and nobody was interested, in buying what we were selling. Then I said, okay, what if we actually start selling this in US? And the logic really was, and we thought in our head, that US is a very mature market. People understand the value of education, STEM education, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, was really a buzzword. So why don't we give it a shot, right? Rohit, my co-founder, essentially lived in US. He said, okay, what if we move to California? So he moved to San Francisco, and every single guy was here practically. He was alone there, right? And we tried reaching out to parents. It didn't fly even in US. Then we started talking to schools, and that is where it became interesting, right? When we started talking to schools, at that time, there was an act called No Child Left Behind. I don't know if you've heard of, right? Have any you guys heard of No Child Left Behind Act? So that came into being, and suddenly there was very high degree of interest. Just to give you the context in case you don't know. So No Child Left Behind essentially said that, every school will be graded, every teacher will be graded, based on the performance of the students in the class. Right? If you don't perform, then it's a direct correlation between your performance as a student on the teacher as well as the school. So suddenly everybody was very interested, and we started talking to some of the boards, right? They have school boards like California School Board and Texas School Board and so on. So the school board essentially got interested, and they started talking to us, right? And that is where that was really a growth hack again, right? In the sense that we said, okay, if not this, then what else? And again, it boils down to experimentation. Really, I really cannot think of anything else. And as I said, again, the same crazy story, right? We did something audacious, we did something bold. We didn't give up, right? We never let naysayers say, you know what, this doesn't make sense. We just kept going, pushing ourselves. Did whatever we had to do to essentially reach a stage wherein, it started to matter to generally to the US population. That's it, guys. I don't know whether these are growth hacks. I don't even know whether I should be standing here and talking about growth hacks. But we did something, and apparently it worked. So here I am. Thank you. So here comes the third part, right? So feel free. And one more thing which I wanted to, before that, I'll take a step back. I wanted to specifically talk about, and maybe it stems from the fact that I've been, for 3 years, I've been the HR head, and I've seen a different world altogether. We should think of our career, and we should essentially think of growth hacking our career too. My question is, why not? Why don't we take, so-called crazy moves, right? Like when I was considering Times Internet, people were like, what's wrong with you? Why are you moving to HR? Why HR? You get labeled as HR head. Everybody say you're a CHRO, right? And things like that. But I still did it. So being from an entrepreneur to a early stage, startup to being an HR head, now back in the business again with a very high growth company. My question is, why not? Why don't we look at our careers and do career growth hacks around that? Right? Just a thought, before we. Any questions, guys? Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. So you have the mic, so you get the first chance.
Yeah, exactly. So the Retro Fest, which you guys are starting from Set first. So I always thought of growth hacks like this, but then you have to invest a lot of money. So for early stage startups, it's not exactly practical.
I agree.
And what metric are you actually looking at? Are you looking for customer acquisition, or are you looking for a brand buzz, or do you actually make profit out of it? I always want to clear this.
No, of course, it's a very valid question. So, like Saurabh was saying, right, and I agree with him 100%, like the definition of growth hack per se essentially differs from a stage of the company. Let's say when we were running 10 marks, we had no money. We literally had no money, right? I would call moving to US itself as a growth hack, right? We didn't have any money. We had to borrow money to start operations in the US, to start hiring. We hired us one person based out of Boston, and we were in California, right? So it depends on what stage of the company you are in. You constantly will have to invest money in the business, right? Even today we are investing, a lot of money. But the intention is to grow from 5 to, how do I grow to 500, from 500 to 5,000, from 5,000 to 5 lakh, and 5 lakh to 5 million, right? Every stage will require you to have different investment. And the matrix essentially depends on the stage and what is that you're really looking for. Are we looking to profit out of this? Are we looking for further fueling growth? Are we looking to close the gap as much as possible with my immediate competitor? It could essentially differ from stage to stage and and business to business. Thanks. Yes, sir.
Hello, sir. My name is Achyut, and I'm from.
My name is Abhishek, not sir.
Okay. So you had an experience as an HR. Okay, Abhishek, you had an experience as HR also, and you had been a founder, co-founder in very great startup. So I had just have a question that for growth hacking, a team is must, right? A dedicated, passionate team is must.
I don't think so. So that again, I'm saying, I'm just going back to, sorry, to complete the question, and probably I should say my thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question is like, while taking up a team, what or a person in our team, what should we look at? Either we should go for experienced people who are actually less passionate about work and more actually need money and all, or people who are freshers who are actually passionate but don't have that experience to drive the road further. So this is what I have a question and I'm dealing with, like struggling with something.
See, I would say when you're very early stage and practically just ideating and just thinking and just experimenting, you yourself will have to do everything. You're like that one man show, right? That's one. Second is growth hacking. Do you actually need a team? Well, I don't think so. Everybody needs to think like, quote unquote, growth hacker, right? Your marketing guy will have to think, like product guy will have to think, how do I increase it from 500, DAU to let's say 800 DAU in a month, right? Versus somebody is at a scale whose worry is that I'm sitting at 1.2 million, and how do I increase it to 5 million, right? But problem statement is, my friend, same. The scale is different. At that stage, probably you might need to have team in place, but when you're essentially starting on and you're just thinking about starting or doing a whole bunch of stuff, then not really, right? Now comes the third part, which is essentially experience, non-experience. See, the one thing is that passion has got nothing to do with experience. It doesn't mean that people who are there are not passionate. It doesn't mean that people are straight out of college are passionate, right? It has got nothing to do with age really, right? I think passion is a fundamental ingredient of success. If you don't have passion, you'll not achieve anything. Forget about startup. I mean, if I'm not passionate about gymming, for example, which I'm really not, by the way, okay, but then I'll not achieve anything in the gym. I probably could go spend 5 minutes on a treadmill and walk out. If I'm not passionate about music, no matter what I do, I'll never learn music. I'll never learn notes. I'll never learn how to read them. So, yeah, I mean, I think it goes without saying that, you should definitely look for, passionate people to build business, especially experienced people. Again, I'm saying, your passion has got nothing to do with experience. When you could be, for example, when you're building a team, right, your co-founder, right, you could be handling ops, business, whatever. He could be handling technology, whatever, right? You have to have passion. How can you even build a company when the team is not passionate about the problem statement? It has nothing to do with age, by the way.
You should just look for passion. If they are passionate, they'll obviously do it.
Well, one of the ingredients, again, right? There are plenty of things you need to look for.
Okay.
Right? But yeah, one of the most important things I would say is yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Pratik. I'm a Dineout user.
Oh, wow. Good.
So I just wanted to know, like, your business model is quite like replicable, like duplicable. So, how you encounter the competition? Like, I don't know, earlier or now also there must be there was Byte Quest. I don't know.
Where is it now?
I don't know. Means it's not in my contact list, but
that's what.
so I'm
you answered the question.
Yeah. So how you encountered it? Because they were, earlier I had Dineout and Byte Quest both, and used to just see, who is providing a better offer, and then just take that. And then suddenly Byte Quest vanished, and there's only Dineout. So how you did that?
I don't have an answer to that question.
Okay. So what you are currently to what are you doing currently to encounter the competition?
I don't have answer to that question either. Okay, I'll give you an alternate view, which is not necessarily an answer per se. Do we worry about competition? Yes. Do we discuss competition? Absolutely. Do we lose our sleep over competition? No. We just keep doing the right thing, what we think is the right, way of doing what we believe in. Okay. For example, आपको यहाँ से नोएडा जाना है, okay? अब आप कोई भी रूट ले सकते हो, जाना तो नोएडा ही है, ठीक है ना? तो सेम स्टोरी है. You can take any route, but that does not mean कि अगर मैं आपके साथ चल रहा हूँ और मैं यहाँ से ऊबर लेके चला गया और आप मेट्रो में चले गए और आप मेरे से पहले पहुँच गए, तो बोलो यहाँ देखो, राइट? इट्स एन ऑल्टरनेट राउट, रास्ता वही है, पहुँचना वही है. 6:30 बजे इनोवेट पहुँचना है, मतलब 6:30 बजे इनोवेट पहुँचना है, पीरियड, राइट? So it's really that. So don't worry about competition. Competition will come and go, right? I mean, either I can think about every single day competition, and change and tweak my strategies around it to counter it, or I can focus on the things which matters to us as a business and continue to improve it, continue to experiment, continue to take it in a given direction. You will reach there, my friend. Eventually you reach there.
I have a query. As you're already dining like this, a lot of people daily, as you said, that 500 million people were
500, I really wish.
500,000.
500 million, yes.
500,000, yeah.
I wish. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Ameen, inshallah.
Ameen. So, have you never thought about like feeding people who are poor? Sorry if I offended you.
No, of course, it's a brilliant question. Okay. Why they're poor? मेरे पास कोई आंसर नहीं है यार. But this,
answer.
No, I don't. So let me just try and answer. Okay, I'll give you.
Poverty line, or you can say beggars, or.
Okay, so let me just put it this way.
You should do a World Hunger Festival where you stay all lakh people in that one.
Can I try and answer that?
The World Restaurant Week.
I'll take all your views. All your views are very valid. Everybody has a view on this, right? But she's asked me the question that I should answer it. Okay, and then I'll probably open the floor and we'll take all the ideas in the world and make notes. But let me just try and answer. Sorry, I didn't catch your name. Le'Capri. So I think there are two parts to this. Okay. Part one is that what is our intention really? Right? What's the vision really? If I say, you know what, I want to start an NGO, like Udahan or XYZ, right? And I say, you know what, my purpose and my vision and my being is to make sure that I serve 1 million diners or 1 million people, right? Who are below the so-called poverty line, right? Then the yardstick really is, have I achieved it or not? Right? The second part of the question is, we did campaigns, and we do a lot of campaigns. Right? We did one campaign with Chef Kunal Kapoor, and maybe you've seen that campaign, wherein we did precisely this. But will you measure the success of business on that? No. Why? Because the vision of the business is something else. Right? If I was running an NGO, then yeah, yardstick should be exactly that. But fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not. Right? So, but we'll do our level best, like we did with Kunal, to make sure that, you know, as we grow, we leave some legacy and we do something for people, you know, who are not really as privileged as us.
I just want to add something. जैसे बोलते हैं ना कि खाना खिलाना बहुत अच्छी बात होती है, तो already you are doing that work.
तो दुआएं कमाते हैं.
बिल्कुल, you are doing that work.
50% off the work.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really great.
3,000 का खाना 1,500 का.
Actually, I will definitely come to you.
मेरे को आने की जरूरत नहीं है. Just download the Dineout app.
Would you feel कि add on करना चाहिए कुछ, you know, free services kind of thing, weekly one day or monthly one day?
So again, I'm saying, you know, repeating myself maybe, but the intention of the business is very clear. We are here for the business, right? As a side, you know, if I want to do something, yes, definitely. We have done it, and we have done it in several times. I don't want to post, I don't want to, you know, but we have done it, right? We have done, you know, blanket distributions, we have done food, like I was saying, we did a specific campaign with Kunal. We've done a whole bunch of stuff, but that's not my primary matrix. Yeah. Sir, anything you want to? Okay.
You can open up an NGO because ऐसी कोई NGO है नहीं शायद.
नहीं, there are plenty of NGOs who do that.
Just सिर्फ खाने पे.
Smile Foundation, there are like plenty of NGOs. We partner with Smile, by the way. There are a whole bunch of.
Well, in India, we find out that. We find out that.
You have to keep me abreast of that.
In India, we'll find.
Perfect. So this is the last question, guys. Sorry, and I'm otherwise
Just
available.
funny question, but it's a very
Funny question to push with
but making it a very interesting point of view. I'm adding to her like the making some series of some new events like that. So I just got a little bit idea. In India, when any person got graduated, got the job after 3 or 4 5 years, he got married. Okay.
He got what?
3 or 4 5 years after he got married.
Married.
Yeah. Before that, his life was pretty good, smooth life.
By God.
Yeah. He goes everywhere with girlfriend or anything.
After all, happiness is not the only thing in life.
Yeah. But after what happens, wife says, where you going? So this is the thing there. Why don't you start an special couple fest, something like thrice in a week or something like that? Yes, sorry, thrice in a once in a 3 months. Sorry. So there will be only specific for the newlyweds couple.
Okay.
So where they will be doing some little bit, not the event, but question. You can provide them some situation where they have to share their own lovable moments, and they can win some goodies.
What moment?
Lovable moments in their life. Whatever moment I can say the right. And you can provide them some freebies for the next things where they want to use it like that. So this will be not only giving them a free time from their own child or their family can be possible, and also give them a new way to go out of the house or getting a dino also.
सर मेरे को ना आपसे अलग से समझाना पड़ेगा थोड़ा ये ज़्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग लग रहा है मेरे को तो आप मेरे को इस सेशन के बाद आप मुझे समझाना क्या है
सिंपली 3 months में एक बार
ग्रोथ है क्या
नहीं ग्रोथ है नहीं है बट एक कंडीशन है जो मोस्टली लोगों को होता है जो लोग न्यूली बेड्स होते हैं जो मोस्टली जो टायर 3 सिटीज में यहाँ मूव करते हैं और अच्छी जॉब जिनको मिल जाती है उन लोगों के 2-3 साल में मोस्टली बच्चे हो जाते हैं नहीं होते हैं मैं उस पर फोकस नहीं करूंगा मेरा फोकस ये है कि उन लोगों के लिए स्पेशल 3 महीने में ऐसा डे हो जो उनके लिए एंजॉय करने के लिए हो
सर आप देख रहे हो ये रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है
मतलब साल के 4 दिन साल के 4 दिन ऐसे हो कि जो मेमोरेबल हो जाए
4 दिन सिर्फ
बाकी दिन तो फिर आप दे रहे हो
बाकी तुम दे रहे मतलब
4 दिन की चलनी कोई
4 दिन की है सर हमको 28 दिन दे रहे हैं आपको 50% ऑफ भी दे रहे हैं आप एकदम बिंदास जाओ और सबको जितने न्यूली वेडिड है उनको बोलो आप भी जाओ 4 दिन की क्या बात है
तो वैसे ही जाते हैं प्रॉब्लम तो बाद में आती है
अब सर वो आपको अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन करना पड़ेगा ना उनको
मैं नहीं एक्सप्लेन कर सकता इस टाइम पे आई हैव माय बेटर हाफ एंड माय पार्टनर इन क्राइम सिटिंग राइट
ओ बाप रे तो सर आप मेरे से बात कर लेना मेरी बेटर हाफ नहीं है Okay, guys, thank you so much for giving me the due attention. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek, for keeping it so much fun and jovial. As I told you all, we'll be collecting the puzzle sheets right now, and Ayush will be taking the session after.
And currently, we're one of the largest city-based social media portals with an audience base of 9 million social media impressions per month, right? And all this happened in 2 years from zero. If I were to sum what we did and how we did it, it'll actually take a lot of time because it has been a roller coaster of a journey these 2 years. A lot of stuff these two gentlemen shared, which I really cannot comprehend all this because I also personally learned a lot of things here. So if I talk about what DforDelhi is right now, I'm sure a lot of people would have heard about it, a lot of people would have not heard about it. But then, out of 9 million impressions that we receive on a month on our social media portals, approximately 72% is Delhi-based audience, out of which 42% are females and 58% are males. We know our TG very clearly, 16 to 32. That's the audience base in which we are running right now. And our thing was, the idea which initially originated was how to make a city viral. I'll share a small story because a lot have been discussed here. 2 years ago, I really want to understand, how many are you from Delhi? Like, you are from Delhi? Delhiites? Non-Delhiites? Okay, yeah. So I came to the city to study here, right? And so when you're studying here, you're like, okay, I'm gonna complete my degree and go for masters and then maybe IS or anything. And I realized at that point of time I was failing everywhere. So what better option than a startup, right? So I really would want to also tell you that when I started, there was zero funding or maybe zero money that you have at your back end. You just gather something that you would want to start. You would start something, and then the first thing I really would want to ask you guys: how would you start when you do not have any money, when you do not have any co-founder, when you do not have a team to back you, when you do not have a work ex, when you do not know that anyone around you would be able to support you. Anyone can come up with the wildest idea. How would it go about it? Sorry? No. So I know what I want to do, but then the problem is I don't have anyone around me to start with. I don't have money to pay the salaries to people. I don't have an office space. I don't have any work ex. I don't have people supporting me. I'm the only person standing right now who would want to start, right? How would I do that? Okay, great. So, the first thing that came to my mind was because I don't have money, how do I get people to work under me? But then even before that, the thing was I need to establish something at least. My capabilities have to be there so that other people are convinced on my idea, right? So there was a point of time when I started doing everything. When I say everything, so it's a social media platform. You will be working on the tech side of the website. You will be building the website, right? You will be every day uploading the content. When I say content, it's like 3 to 4 posts, blog posts in a day. You will be talking to all the PR houses in the city. You will be, talking to brands. There are events happening in the city. You will be going there, and you will be doing a lot of designing work as well. You will be selling your product as well. So it was one man doing the entire show, and outside the world thought it's an entire team that's working out there. So every single time I used to get a call, they used to ask me, so can I get a number from someone from your team? And I'm like, okay, there is no team, but then I can actually tell them that I have a team. So I used to tell them, okay, I'll fix up a meeting and then everything. But then at the front end, everyone at the front end was assuming it's a huge team working at the back end. But that's when I realized that's the potential, right? If one person is able to make it through, that the other people are seeing that this product has a team behind it, that pushed me to the next level. And so a little money that I gathered from my individual things that I did here and there, I took an office space. Now office rents and everything, you're sorted. Like Delhi rents are very high. I chose to take a good office space as well because that was something which was very close to me. And so now you're stuck again that you need people to work, right? Office तो ले लिया है सब कुछ है, but then यार काम कौन करेगा? मैं अकेले बैठ के तो नहीं करने वाला. So that is when it struck me कि यार interns, right? And you actually approach these interns. Now the thing is with interns, if your brand is established, they are ready to come for free, right? If your brand is not established, then they come to you and ask you, okay, what is it for me? That is when your first selling starts about your idea. Every single time the people who founders sell their ideas to investors, but I believe that's the first stage where you start selling your idea. That was my first stage. 10 interns, interview, I sold my idea. 9 joined, right? And they were driven by this vision that I had in mind that we need to create something really amazing. We were at zero, literally zero. We were few numbers here and there, but then that commitment came from the vision which I showed them, and it was not key. Maybe I'm showing them a vision which cannot be achieved, and it's a far-fetched dream. But then we are near that dream or that vision which I showed them in just 2 years now. It started, and over a period of time, these interns were giving some good things. So Out of 9, after 3 months, you were left with 4 interns. And then I was thinking, okay, so interns के साथ हमेशा problem ये रहेगी. They'll come and go, and they'll be like a periodic thing, right? But then when the company is growing, you will need some specific solid people to be there in your team. That's when I did a hiring scene when I had good funds to manage, and then hiring started. So then I started with a very low end hiring in terms of the remunerations which are higher. Again, there were 3 stages of hiring that we had. The interns, they were working for free. The second level of hiring was again very low end remunerations. The third level happened maybe a year ago when we were hiring like top notch people from the industry with the experience of 7 to 8 years. Now, all these 3 phases taught me a lot. The second phase was the most amazing as the most critical moment, because those people who came at not a so high end price were producing results which I was astonished to see. They were writing content, they were going out of the market and doing like this is their thing, right? And that's when I believed, because with no experience, you always believe that, there is passion, but you need experience as well to balance it out. So that's when a year ago we went in for, let's hire some experienced people. We got some good experienced people, 7 to 8 years experienced people, and so what started happening was, in a span of 3 months, the productivity dipped, and I really would fail to understand why the productivity has dipped when I've got the same people who are working with same efficiency. When there's a team, experienced people I've hired to do the work who were specialized in it. Anyone can give me a wildest idea why this started happening, because these guys were young who were working earlier. There was a new breed of people who were experienced, who were working for 7 to 8 years. But then, the entire mismatch somehow started something called, which we call office politics. In a startup, office politics has no place. Trust me on that. When it starts, it dips your startup. And it did not take me long to just fire the top line, and I took control of everything once again. And since then, again, we started doing in the same pace. But then it's critical to, hire the right resources as well. It's like I've learned the hard way, but then it's very critical. So, and when we were working on this, we realized, we're growing at one end, we're doing a lot of meetings. We realized, this company is growing, this company is doing good and everything. And we're planning to start 6 more cities this year itself, with M for Mumbai, B for Bangalore, K for Kolkata, G for Goa as well. But then when we were going to meetings, there were questions asked, what is digital? We really want to understand digital. How can you help us in digital and everything? And then we understood, there's also a need for people to, make them understand what's digital and also help them with digital. So that is when we started a second company, which is called Let Us Social. That company is a digital agency, right? And that is when the first month itself, we were able to close in a humongous number of clients, the same sales team. And they closed in some huge number of clients for us. That gave us a heads up, this is that company which we're going to also bank upon. So, we had 2 companies now, and so when you do not have a co-founder, when you do not have an experienced people, everything falls to you. So you be the boss and you be the sweeper as well. But eventually it all panned out very beautifully, and we recently also I believe last year we did the very first BF. So we did the first offline activity, the very first BF festival in Noida as well. So Noida is a risky place, you don't venture out into doing offline events. So from digital, we went into offline, and we're going to scale it up. So when I say scale it up, we're going to do a lot of offline events. And so, like, these are the 2 companies which we have formed till now. The other is also into inception, because we realize there's a different need in the market altogether. With a lot of digital growing, with a lot of companies wanting to push their digital products, we realize there's a market where a lot of people want different things, and that's when our third company will also be starting by March end. So all these 3 companies in these 2 years, I never imagined. Trust me on that. And it's not a stock of it's not a, what do we say that term, luck, kismat se nahi hua bhai, theek hai. So it has taken a huge hit. The back end team knows it, and over these 2 years, we have been very fortunate to work with brands like Dineout, brands like Ford, brands like Google, brands like Ford, brands like and you name the brand. We work with almost all the brands that you could think of exist around in a city or in the world, and. The idea. So again, the next question comes is if you're doing so well, why you're not raising investment? So we recently, declined two investment offer which we got because you need to understand one thing, and I've realized this because of all these things which I've gone through. This is the right time for investment. If the company is not ready for an investment, I cannot go for it. You know, I am making my mistakes at this moment, and every entrepreneur does it. You know, my mistakes would be lifelong. They could be like till I'm 60, 65, I'll be making mistakes. But then till the time I'm not convinced that I need investment because I'm stuck there. If my ball is rolling, I know where to go. You know, if I take someone else's money and if I start burning it, that's not the right way to go. That's someone's money, someone's hard-earned money. I don't know the person, but then I really have a lot of respect for that money. You know, because I know the importance of money. Somebody asked what's growth. For me, growth has just two simple words. My team has to grow, money has to come. That's it. Nothing more than that. I believe growth go up it. You cannot make a globe out of it. It is very simple. Growth is you will understand when you're growing. There will be no doubt. कोई दिमाग में doubt ही नहीं आएगा अगर आप growth नहीं कर रहे हो तो. And I think it's taken some time. And Miss speakers, you वहाँ बैठे हो. Okay, so I'll just sum it up by saying this that I came very prepared with all these things here that I'll say this, but gentlemen just stole the show. I was like, okay, what do I have to say? I'll be like, okay, I'll share my story. Gentlemen stole the show. I was like, okay, I was sitting there. I was like, okay, a series of talks by startup entrepreneurs. I was like, okay, startup entrepreneurs? Talk? Yeah, definitely. Can do that. So I was actually prepared for this and for what that gentleman said, but then I was like, okay, chuck it. Let's do something else which I'm not prepared for because life is that. Startup is that. You cannot be prepared. And I'll just sum it up with one beautiful line which I read early in the morning. Start working on your dream. Otherwise, someone else will hire you to work for their dream. Right? Thank you so much. Ladies.
Thank you, Ayush. So before we close, we have our. So the puzzle was all about keeping you guys occupied and giving you something at the end of it for your efforts. So we have. Do we have Prashant here? Prashant Sehgal. Okay. Priyamvada. Prateek. Avinash. And Gaurav. So it's Gaurav Kumar Pandey and Prateek. Just the Prateek with double E. Thank you so much, one and all, for coming here, for being a part of this session. A very special thank you to three of you. To be honest, we have not had such a fun session till now, I think, from when I have been a part of these sessions. So thank you for making it so engaging, and I hope all of you have been able to take back a lot from this session. So now we open the session to networking. The speakers are going to be around, so we will move to the open area there. There'll be rolls and soft drinks for you guys. And you know it already. If you're looking for a payment gateway, you reach out to us. We'll help you out. And thank you so much once again. Take care.
Thank you.